Ancestors, we ask for your support as we travel through this gateway of sacred beauty. We ask that you infuse yourself into every aspect of our lives that can embrace sacred beauty. Help us to have the discerning eye to be able to see it. Help us to have the discerning mind to be able to think it and apply it. Help us to make beauty into one of the greater healers in our lives, into one of the most powerful tools that we have. As we walk through this sacred journey, please stay with us as we shed old habits that haven't been serving us and embrace new habits that will lead us to the life that we've always dreamed of, a life that reclaims our bloodline, a life that reclaims all of our needs as we work to become root workers and work to connect with our bloodlines in whatever ways those may be. Ashe.
I'm in the Mud Woman clan, hey, hey. 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 I'm in the Mud Woman clan, woman of the earth. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, of divine spirit. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, devotee of the flame movement. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, thanks and honor to the mother. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, mother side of the creator. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I offer this vow to you. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, to the great mother to earth. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, heal us throughout the Mud Woman clan, the power of this land. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I'm in the Mud Woman clan. Your sacred food nourish me. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, top earth food set me free. Heal my body and my mind all the time. Devotee of the great land. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I'm in the Mud Woman clan. Purified holistically. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, causing me longevity. I'm in the Mud Woman clan. Purify my body temple. I gotta use the herb. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I've got to use the herb. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I gotta use the mud. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, as a form of drug-free therapy. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, that cures all that ails me. Rejuvenates me, yeah. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, I'm in the Mud Woman clan. It's on this day, maybe it's play, purify and rejuvenate my body and soul, my body and soul, my body and soul, my body and soul. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, yeah, yeah. I'm in the Mud Woman clan, yeah, yeah. I'm in the Mud Woman clan. New root tired. I'm in the Mud Woman clan. New root healing tired. Mud Woman clan. New root healing tired. I'm in the Mud Woman clan. Yeah, yeah. 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 I'm in the Mud Woman clan, hey, hey. 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 I'm in the mud woman clan. Hey, yeah. 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 I'm in the mud woman clan. Woman of the earth. I'm in the mud woman clan. Of divine spirit. I'm in the mud woman clan. Devotee of the flame movement. I'm in the mud woman clan. Thanks and honor to the mother. I'm in the mud woman clan. Mother side of the creator. I'm in the mud woman clan. I offer this vow to you. I'm in the mud woman clan. To the great mother to earth. I'm in the mud woman clan. Heal us throughout the mud woman clan. The power of this land. I'm in the mud woman clan. I'm in the mud woman clan. I'm in the mud woman clan.
So yesterday, I mean, whenever you're viewing this video, you won't understand what I'm saying. But before I did this video, I went live on Instagram and I was, I gave a whole talk about sacred beauty and it was really fun and everybody was really feeling it. And then I went to press share and Instagram deleted it. It just didn't upload, didn't get shared. Nobody will view this except for the, 30 people who came in and out throughout the session. So I'm going to do my best to try and re-give this talk and maybe hopefully give it better than I did yesterday. I don't know. I doubt it because it was all off the top yesterday. But anyways, I wanted to talk about sacred beauty and, this belief. And I'm going to, first off, full disclosure, I'm about to name names, y'all. And I'm not naming names because I don't like these people necessarily or because I think that they're wrong, they're not good sacred women, they're terrible people. No, I'm naming them out because due to this, that, and the third, they are the face of sacred womanhood and they are the face of kind of this type of woman, this feminine, studied under Queen Afua type of woman. And this isn't to say these people are always wrong. This is just to say that, in the Sister Circle, one, we do things a little bit different. And then two, we can look at things and, see how they apply to the modern sense and see how maybe we can make it better. So without further ado, let's talk about how sacred beauty is not dressing like Erykah Badu. All right, so if you think that sacred beauty is you take off your head wrap and you don, or you take off your weave and then you don a head wrap and then you think that, wearing the swaths of purple is what it's about. You think it's about getting your nails done a certain way. You think it's about, like there's just so many random little aesthetic things, wearing all those crystals on your fingers. We have a lot of specific aesthetic things and there's certain women that embody those things, and then because there are so many of us just trying to come into ourselves, we're not sure if that is what sacred beauty is, and it's not being fully explained to us, right? Because the issue is partially is that these women have turned their aesthetic into their brand. And so they're not going to say, necessarily, don't dress like me, don't do this, don't do that. They're showing themselves as the embodiment of what could be. And therefore a lot of people come into sacred womanhood and then they feel like, oh, I can't dress like X, Y, and Z anymore because that's like low vibrational. I can no longer do this. I have to look this way so that people take me seriously, and this way so that blah blah blah. And then not only that, but then they feel like they're representing an entire movement just off of what you're wearing. And I mean, in a kind of a way that is, but that's not sacred womanhood and that's not sacred beauty. So when we're looking at the gateways, we are looking at the fact that Queen Afua broke it down, right? She broke down words, food, the womb, relationships, beauty, etc. And she named all of these things that in our lives have typically been used to harm us, to destroy, to get one over on us, to make us feel lesser than, to separate us. And she shows how each of these things, yes, it can be that, but it can also be this state of, you know, unity, this powerful tool of healing. One of your greatest strengths, one of your greatest assets. They told you being feminine was weakness. It can be your greatest strength. The issue with that, I think, is a lot of people hear that your femininity can be your source of strength, hear that your womb can be a source of strength. And so then they interpret that and twist it until it's against a penis, if this makes sense. They weigh it up against, patriarchal ideals and masculine ideals. And so then it just kind of turns what would have been this very powerful thing about you, your womb, your personal power, and it relegates it to what it is as a birthing tool, what it is in terms of getting a male partner, what it is in terms of seducing male energy. And so, in this sense, again, that's not why you're trying to be sacredly beautiful. You are instead taking these tools and you're using them as a way to empower yourself through yourself. You're feminine because it is a source of strength. You're feminine and you understand that that is equal to the masculine. You're feminine and you understand that that this doesn't really have to do with necessarily fighting the masculine or submitting to the masculine or seducing the masculine. It has to do with all of the energies. Your feminine energy stands there by itself and is capable of so much power, so much wealth to be given to you. In the same way that someone can charge up their masculine energy and take that to the max, somebody can charge up their feminine energy and ride that until the ends of the earth. And so, in Queen's book, she does focus on the feminine. She does focus on the womb. And so for that's why this circle does talk to both people with wombs, and because there is a womb healing going on here. And then there's also feminine people who identify as sisters. And so those people as well get, something from this, because you're able to, those two are often able to be separated throughout the book, Sacred Woman. It's not really exclusive in that way. Like you can take the parts that you like out of Sacred Womanhood, which I feel like is how most people use the book. Very few people do what I do, which is go from front to back and understand what's going on from front to back. Very few people do that. Most people have the book on their shelves, randomly open it occasionally, and get their minds blown by whatever they randomly opened it up to. And that's totally, that's totally cool. And that's why I'm saying anybody can really use this book. Anybody who wants to master feminine energy, anybody who wants to understand womb energy and healing of the womb, the physical and the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, all of those things. So, with Sacred Beauty, what we're doing is we're taking something that can at times, as we see online all the times, destroy, tear people's self-esteem down, make other people feel less than, hurt people's feelings, oppress certain groups of people, and find a way to use beauty as a healer, as something that makes you feel divine, as something that makes you feel strong, as something that does give you strength. And, using that beauty, using your touches of beauty, leaving touches of beauty wherever you go, as a way of healing. And, as root workers, I do want to, talk about the fact that, it's not always going to be beautiful, but that is the opposite side of Sacred Beauty. So it technically is all a part of Sacred Beauty. It is the removal of beauty occasionally, for whatever purposes may need be. But it's still, I think, all a part of Sacred Beauty. It's just that in Queen's book, she does focus on the light portion. She does focus on the beauty, the upper, in her mind, the light work or whatever, and then there's the shadow work on the opposite end of the spectrum, which, she does touch on in the sense of addressing abuses, but she doesn't touch on the positive uses of those. She mostly talks about, the negative, the inner bitch, the hater of other women when they see her and they can't let somebody else shine, which I do. Her book is for a specific time, and if you're somebody who is still struggling with that, still struggling with being defensive when they see other beautiful women, her book is something I think that is really good to read for that, because she does focus so heavily on those internal issues that make you want to tear somebody else down. But she doesn't also focus on those times where you are in your center and you need to use beauty to protect yourself, use the opposite end of beauty to make sure you're safe, you know what I mean? Make sure your situation doesn't get worse than it is. And that's really what, like, the root working aspect of it is for. And that's also kind of what my perspective of the book is for, because I know most people will read the book and come away with it and just kind of love and light it. But at the same time, I do think we need to look at what is not said. Look at what is the opposite then of that type of sacred beauty, of the type of sacred beauty that she's speaking of, and how can we use these things to our advantage. So, with that being said, I want to note that she in no way, like, condemns certain types of beauty. The only things she condemns are certain types of clothing, which she speaks to health concerns. So she says wear a skirt, open, flowing something so you can facilitate the air and the energy around your womb space, your vagina space. She says to not wear heels because of the effect that those will have on your spine long term. So don't be just walking around in heels all day, every day. It's not good for your body. And then what is the other one? She says you can wrap your head for spiritual protection, either having the top open or closed. Like, she doesn't have much. Oh, and jeans. She says jeans are typically too tight and too thick and cut off the body and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's very few. I feel like that leaves interpretation for how you could dress up to anything. You know what I mean? Like, you literally could have whatever style and wear that. You could be one of those kawaii, Japanese loving, anime loving, they wear pastel everything. I wanted to be like that when I was like 19, but it wasn't because I liked anime. It was because I liked, pastel colors. So anyways, but you could wear all that, still be channeling sacred womanhood. I mean, easily. Just wrap your head up a little bit differently with something pastel and prettyful. Put some pins in it. Simple. You could be punk, goth, still be a sacred woman, still be channeling your sacred womanhood. You can be androgynous. When, like I was telling everybody yesterday, like, it's like your sacred beauty isn't even just about the sacred feminine, because she talks about the sacred feminine, but in my honest opinion, mastering your sacred feminine, your sacred masculine, and your sacred androgyny, your sacred neither, is so powerful. It can help you in so many situations to be able to switch between which one you need, to be able to get a little bit this way, a little bit that way, move effortlessly. Mastering all of those energies, I think, is super important. But I do think it's easier to master masculine energies because it's kind of uplifted more in a lot of ways. And to master the feminine energies, often people find themselves sucked into servitudinal positions just because of the feminine energy that they are emitting, and so then they're like, great, I just got demoted because I was feminine. And it's like true, you have to be really careful. You have to tread ground a little bit more carefully when you're feminine, because the propensity for violence is up here. You know, your ability to defend yourself against that physical violence, it needs to be, you know, because you can't do it. It has to be something else, and it has to be built up well. And that's why I'm saying I think it is very difficult to master the divine feminine. But I also think it's very difficult for people to release either one. I think it's difficult for people to be okay with being perceived either way, to be comfortable in the dandy or androgyny position, but that position is also one that has powerful allure. I'm pretty sure it's like one of the top, the forms of being a seductress is being a dandy, because people like it, you know what I mean? It draws, that energy draws people in, mostly because they're too scared to do it. So anyways, having that mastery of all three, I think, is absolutely important. All right, so moving on, what was I saying before I like got off into that tangent about all three of us? Anyways, so I'd been talking about you can dress however you like. I think I kind of made my point. I think I did, you know. I'm saying like you can really dress however it is that you feel called to, whatever makes you feel comfortable. However, you know, be as boho vibes. You can be wearing only ankara. You can. It's literally, the possibilities are endless. You know, find you, find you within all of this, and you know that's really what sacred beauty is about. Because donning somebody else's aesthetic is only gonna get you so far. It's like that quote where it's like, you're copying me, but it doesn't bother me because I know that you'll always be one step behind. You know, your move has to wait for my move. And that's kind of what is so sad about like a lot of these other people who it's like, oh, but like, is that your best form of sacred beauty? Are you channeling your most individual form, your most powerful form, and why are you afraid to channel that powerful form and do those individual things that really speak to you? So anyways, I really urge you, as we go through today's reading and the sacred beauty studies, to think about, you know, first off, think about things that you've donned from other people that maybe really aren't you, which I've been doing. You know, I was like, oh, like, you know, which things are me, like which, like, and then think about releasing those things, sometimes releasing them in practice just for a few days, just to see if like I miss them, or if it's like, was I doing that because I liked it? Like, you know, really weighing it up. I do think some things are going to just probably be universal, like us all wearing head wraps, or I don't know, doing nails is something, you know, black girls just kind of do, right? I mean, not everybody does, but it's just something we've been kind of known to do. And so, you know, I think some things are going to stay the same, but, you know, some things can be different, such as the way you do your nails, such as the way, like the colors of your head wrap, such as you do not have to wear, you know, purple robes, or you know, all of these other things. And then it's just the same with, I was gonna connect that because I already talked about Erica, but I also wanted to talk about, I talked about yesterday, Hadia, I believe is her name, Hadia Barbell. And you know, I recently heard somebody telling me like, oh, she said like she doesn't twerk, she does like her hula hooping or whatever, which she calls the sacred medicine wheel, which I have a big problem with that. That's not right. That's not what that is. Because that's not what that is. We can leave Native Americans sacred practices, you know, alone, and what they call them alone. But anyways, she, you know, said something about twerking isn't like sacred movement, you know, you need to do it a different way. First of all, I just don't understand, you know, people's obsession with the hatred of twerking. It's like an African girl, like, you know, starts to pop it and everybody's like, for the culture. And then it's like a black girl starts to pop it and then everyone's kind of like, unless she's wearing a head wrap and like like a long dress, or you know, something, some ankara fabric, unless she's wearing something like super you know, African inclined, she's not gonna get much love. You know, there's somebody's out there gonna be telling her she's too much attention. It's never for the culture, right? It's always kind of wrong what we do. And I do think that that's like, there's this weird internalized dislike of a lot of Black American things. Like, I think we sometimes get the brunt end of the stick, whether it's like people think we don't have any culture, or people think our culture is whack, or people think we get too much attention, or, and that's like everybody. That includes non-American Black people and non-Black people. I think a lot of people just genuinely don't like a lot of our stuff. But I want to just emphasize that nowhere in Queen's sacred movement section does she say that. Nowhere does she call out twerking as like low vibrational, and even if she had, it would have just been kind of wrong. You know what I mean? Like, she talks about all these other forms of movement, which are basically hip movement. And I don't understand, like, it's like in hula they get to wear like nothing, and they got nothing but grass on their hips, and they're moving those hips like, and they're making it all go around. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, whoa, like there's a lot going on here. You know what I mean? And they are hailed. It's the best, you know what I mean? But even the best of our twerkers get no love, you know what I mean? They're seen as terrible. There's nothing feminine about moving our hips the way we do. It's just, I don't understand that. But I did want to say, like, calling out rules like that, starting to separate the sacred movement out, like nitpicking all that stuff, separating out all of the different gateways like that. If this isn't supposed to be divisive, sacred woman is supposed to be inclusive. It's supposed to be whatever your religion is, you can make this your lifestyle of kindness, of balance, of being centered, of centering women, of centering wombs, of centering the marginalized in our society who need healing. That's what sacred womanhood is about. So I just really urge you to like not pay attention to things that divide us as sacred women. Like, this is this level of sacred woman, that's that level of sacred woman. And I don't know if like she really did that. I didn't see it. I don't know exactly where it is, but I did see a lot of people agree that they'd seen it, and I did see people talking about it. And unfortunately, it does start to reflect on Queen, because these are two of her most famous, sacred women. When Erykah Badu stands up for R. Kelly, Queen Afua's name gets mentioned. When, Hadia starts, doing a lot of what she do, whatever that may be, then it reflects on Queen. It reflects back, because then people are like, oh, well, these are all of Queen's sacred women somehow come out, and they're misogynistic, and they're sexist, and they're, hate sex workers, and they hate people who dress a certain way, and they're mean to you if you wear a weave. And it starts to reflect on Queen once you get to this point where we're just being so divisive, and any old which way that somebody does something can get nitpicked to the ground because you're more sacred than they are. That's not what it's about. It's not about comparing your journey. It's not about sacred, like a car punched holes. Oh, sacred this, like I'm the most sacred of them all. It's just not. If you think that's what it's about, you missed the point. If you think it was just about a costume change, you definitely missed the point. You can be sacred with what is in your wardrobe today. It is about how you carry yourself. It is about how you view your things. It is about the changes that you are making in your everyday life with your habits. Purchasing is the last thing on your mind. Changing your aesthetic to somebody else's should be the last thing on your mind. I mean, if you have something that you've been planning for you for a long time, and you've reevaluated a bunch of times, and you're just like, this is my energy and blah blah blah, then go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I had to do that. It took me years. I didn't buy clothes for years, like 2 years after my kids were born, just because, one, I wanted to see if like my body would change and calibrate, and it did take about 2 years for my body to calibrate after the twins. And second, because I wasn't sure how I wanted to present myself. I just had what I had before. So that's what I went through my Sacred Woman training with. I didn't even buy a new white dress. One day, my friend, Oni, she's been in a video or two before, she brought me a white dress randomly. She was like, I just had this in my closet, and like, I thought of you. And I was like, I needed a white dress. Thank you. And so that, like, I literally bought nothing. I didn't even buy my Sacred Woman studies. I've told you guys that I got that paid for. Remind me to tell you the story about that sometime. But um anyways, yeah, like, you can do it all without buying anything. Like, literally, I bought nothing. I got the things from my, the class, which was like the things I've been telling you, the spirulina. We had that green life with the mana spirulina, all those green seaweeds. I think there was like an herbal laxative, there was a pill laxative, and basically that was it. Otherwise, I just changed the way I ate, changed the way my, schedule was, changed how I was thinking about things, prayed, spent extra time doing those things. And, at the time it was just breastfeeding the twins and focusing on that. And that's what I did for, a little while. I didn't take any of, the detox stuff, laxative stuff at the time because I was breastfeeding. And then by the time I wasn't breastfeeding, they'd expired. So, it was like, but I still was able to focus even without doing those things, even without using the tools of my box that I got. The only thing I could use was the green life and the breath of life. That was like in the Sacred Woman CD. That was like all I could use. And so it was just kind of a process. It was progress, it was a process, but it was mostly me doing the work and me changing my mind, me opening myself up to more and more possibilities, me studying more. Those are the things that are really going to start to make an impact. And those are the things that are really going to change your mindset. So when you go into something, which gateway you need to draw strength from in this moment to stay in your center, to help this situation, to progress this to where you want it to go, to facilitate whatever it is that may be. I have this strength, I have this tool, I know what to do in this situation. And that's really what being a sacred woman is about, because a lot of us don't have those tools. A lot of us haven't, we haven't been given something like that. We haven't been given something like, we haven't been taught. For some reason there's become a disconnect in the last few generations where this type of thing isn't being as taught. And so that's why with the reclamation of root work, of hoodoo, we're hoping with reclamation of these traditions we can then pass that on to our kids. Now we have those tools, now we're able to continue. So anyways, so that's like a synopsis of what I said yesterday, a little more seriously. But at any rate, I wanted to, have uploaded that then. And really what's going to happen is I'm going to try and start going live on Instagram more, connecting with people more about it. And if you get on, you get on. If you don't, you don't. But yeah, I did want to start connecting with you guys and just sharing my personal thoughts on the gateways, like away from the book. And I probably wouldn't have done all this if that video hadn't deleted. I probably would have put all this in this video. So anyway. So last time we left off, we had been talking about undergarments. We talked about like bra, underwear, not constricting your body, choosing things for power colors on the outside as well as on the inside, choosing colors, choosing items based on their fabrics that are breathable, fabrics that feel good on the body, fabrics that make you look good, right? We're not going by what other people look good in or what other this, that, and the third. I mean, you can get advice from other people, but really genuinely looking at yourself in the mirror, dressing yourself to look good, dressing yourself to be confident, as well as using your clothes as a form of power, as a form of root work, as a form of energy manipulation. Beautiful skin, the natural way. We're on page 234 if you have your book. For internal skincare, drink 2 to 3 quarts of pure water every day. Keep a pitcher in your fridge, I think, is one of the easier ways to do this, but also I always just, like I said, in the mornings, pour myself that big cup of herbal tea or lemon water, etc., whatever I feel. And just start your day like that and drink as much of it as you can. Don't feel like, again, this is for intentional and mindful. You're not beating yourself up at the end of the day if you didn't drink 3 quarts, 2 quarts. You're drinking it the best you can throughout the day, keeping your body hydrated with these fluids, taking a big gulp every now and again. Take weekly enemas to cleanse out your colon. Maintain 2 to 3 bowel movements daily. Technically, you should be going to the bathroom after every time you eat to maintain that balance, which is easiest done if you are on like a raw food diet, basically, with very low carbs. I mean, like not very, very, but decently low carbs, all that. I would just perhaps take a detox tea occasionally that you trust. And like a smooth move, I think is the normal one everybody has, but there are so many of them. Just take a tea that's supposed to help with your bowel movements, maybe, and water fast could also help in terms of that instead of doing an enema on yourself if you aren't comfortable. Eat okra for healthy, velvety skin. Greens and drink juices from live greens 2 or 3 times a day. Like I said, I put those greens in my smoothie. I also do the salad bowl, the big ass salad bowl with like all the vegetables, hella vegetables, and a good sauce. Vitamin C, 500 milligrams, 2 to 3 times daily. Blood pure, so dead flesh, y'all. Eat more berries. The less flesh you eat, the more pure your blood will get. I do recommend, like I said, only 1 to 3 times a week eating meat or dairy. I say either or, all of it, cumulative, 1 to 3 times a week. Let's see. Beautiful skincare, the body scrub. So once your skin has air dried from your bath, your shower, try the following 4-step system. Make a scrub of organic grits, cornmeal, and oats. A fourth a cup to a half a cup of each, mixed together with 1 to 2 cups of distilled water. Add the juice of 1 lemon to the mixture and scrub your body in a gentle circular motion with your loofah or your washcloth. Step 2, then rinse off the scrub without soaping and then take a sauna or steam bath to sweat out pores and increase circulation. Rinse first with the hot water, then rinse with cold water. And what that does is it's not that it opens up your pores, because pores don't open and close. What it is the heat will melt the oils within your face, within your pores. And with that, taking out that will take out the dirt and imperfections that are inside of your pores as well. And then the cold will make it all kind of freeze up again, tighten up again. Where are we? Oh. Massage your body with castor oil and or olive oil and or oil containing vitamin E for smooth, radiant, healthy skin. Try Edgar Cayce inspired almond oil from the Home Health Products Company. Black seed oil, that's the one I recommend, especially if you're smearing all over your body, giving yourself that good massage. It's such a healthy oil. It's like a trade secret of Africa. I don't know, I read that once. It was like back in ancient Africa, we love to say that, don't we? In ancient Africa, the women smeared themselves with black seed oil and their skin was supple and whatever. I was like, well, this is already in my home. I got it for internal use for my husband, but then I co-opted it, and now it's just basically what I use on my body. He doesn't even remember that he wanted it for internal use. So let's see, but yeah, it's like a black seed oil. I believe it's called black seed oil. Give me 2 seconds. Oh. is black seed oil. That's what my bottle looks like. You can kind of see I've been using it. I've been using this stuff. So, but yeah, it's good for a lot of stuff. It says healthy immune system, anti-inflammatory properties, digestive health. Oh, I bet that cleanses you out. Just like castor oil. I'm sure they're similar in a lot of ways. It really does remind me of castor oil, except I like the way this one feels on my skin a little bit more than I remember liking Jamaican black castor oil. Anyways, so that was my little tidbit for y'all. And then also when you do your little organic grits, cornmeal, and oats mixture, you could probably add like rose petal powder or some kind of flower petal powders to that to just add to the ingredients that you're exfoliating your body with and rubbing your body down with, because those are also good for the skin. The affirmation, the sun is hidden in your face. And this is an affirmation. I love this. This is page 234 still. Oh, wait, sorry. Before we do that, she said that the skin rejuvenation process should be done 3 times the first week you begin. After that, twice a week for maintenance. So this week, find 3 times to exfoliate yourself, you know what I mean? And get your body prepped and start taking care of your skin, and then make it routine maintenance. Write that into your schedule. Hopefully you have a planner or something. I have a handwritten planner, as you've seen, wherever that is. And in the handwritten planner, you can definitely, just jot it down. Just do your exfoliation, mix that all up before you head to the shower and get that all done. Let's see. So the affirmation: my deeds, experiences, pain, peace, successes, and emotions are all recorded on my face. I now light the way through my life with a radiant, glowing face, pure in thought and pure in deed. My face expresses a life of good deeds and blessings now and forever. So she has a natural facelift next. Step 1, steam your face 5 minutes. Lean over a bowl of freshly boiled water. Cover your head with a towel big enough to surround the bowl and yourself. Add dried flowers or herbs to the bowl. Hold on, I have to sneeze. You can add rosemary, chamomile, elderflowers, lavender, rose petals, lemon balm, myrrh, what you have. If it gets too hot, give yourself a few seconds in the cool air and then go back under the towel. Make a mixture of 1 to 2 tablespoons of organic cornmeal next. 2 tablespoons of organic oats with that, and the juice of half of a lime. Add just enough hot water to create paste and allow it to sit 5 minutes. Apply this paste to your face and neck area, starting at the neck, massaging it on in an upward motion. Let the mask set for a few minutes and then rinse it off. Oh, after scrubbing and massaging it in, and then let it sit and then rinse it off. Step 3, apply Queen Afua's rejuvenating clay, representing Asar, the resurrected one. Mix up a clay that you have if you have one already at home. She said use black mud from the Dead Sea or red clay, which is available in most health food stores. Avoid the delicate skin right around your eyes, because that will, that easily tear and bruise. Allow to dry 20 to 30 minutes. Take this time to meditate and repeat the clay vow affirmation. As a mud woman, a woman of the earth and of the divine spirit, a devotee of the clay movement, I give thanks and honor to the mother side of the Creator. I offer this vow to the great Earth Mother, Ta'ert, or Asasheya, if that is what you prefer, or you can just say the Great Earth Mother, who nourishes, nurtures, and heals us through the power of the land. As a mud woman, a devotee of the clay clan, I vow to use clay daily and holistically to beautify my body temple. I vow to use the earth as a source of drugless therapy to draw out that which ails me and to enhance my true radiant beauty, the Mud Woman clan. So I really like that she called it the Mud Woman clan, because, you know, a lot of people wouldn't associate femininity with mud, with you know, getting dirty, and that's exactly what she's saying. It's about getting into the earth. It's about feeling the earth, getting into the elements, utilizing the elements, not just buying the elements, but literally your hands are in the muds, and applying with hands, laying hands on people. And so with that, that's, you know, what she's really speaking of when she's talking about being a sacred woman, is you are of the Mud Woman clan. The elements are your tools. You always have tools, because when you walk outside, you have the air blowing right around you. When you you know, when you can always light a candle, you can always rub your hands together, you can always you know, go outside and get a cup of water, bring a cup of water outside, and whisper prayer into it and pour libations into the earth. You can always, you know, there's so many things. You can put seeds into the earth. You can do so many different little things that it's all for free. It's all for free. You know what I mean? The elements are there. They're there for you to be using. They're there for you to be inspired by. And, you know, the thing is, like, a lot of people, they tend to only use fire, you know, just because it's quick and because it's popular, people seen it. But there are all the other elements, and they are there, and they are there just to use. And that's what the Mud Woman clan is about. That's what that song, I'm in the Mud Woman clan, is about, because it's about recognizing that you are a part of this, you're a part of this movement, you're a part of this new beginning, you're a part of this old tradition. It's all one. Yeah, it's about using those elements. I really love that she called it that. Natural hair is freedom. Hair is a sensitive subject for most Black women, but I do want to discuss this as a part of our healing. I was listening to Donny Hathaway sing Someday We'll All Be Free, and I began to sway to the rhythm, remembering the joyful days of my youth. I remembered raising my fists, testifying power to the people. And when I was 18, fine and free, in those days we followed Bobby Seale, Huey P. Newton, Rat Brown, and of course Sister Angela Davis. In the midst of the Black cultural explosion, I revolutionized my life by washing my hair and going naturally nappy. My mama thought I lost my mind, but I was no longer ashamed of being me, no longer afraid of running from raindrops for fear of the kink, no longer needing to imitate or adhere to European women's expression of beauty. Now I had my own classical look as a young African queen. I wore my natural crown proudly, and I washed centuries of slavery and self-hatred out of my hair, and I finally loved me. Then in the 70s came riots for our liberation in New York, Chicago, Washington. The revolution for African American liberation broken out everywhere in the North and South throughout all of the colleges. We were waking up. Even James Brown said, "Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud." I was attending Brooklyn College and about to take a trip to the motherland with Doris Green, my African dance professor. That trip was canceled, but with faith and vision, I did manage to arrive in the motherland at a later date. I felt a revolution growing within me. I was moving from a dead state to a state of being fully alive. I was an African woman, dressed in a long lapa and a headdress, and I felt so majestic. I remember that I was always listening for the drummers playing in Bedford Stoy Park. When the drum beat started, I would stop everything and run towards that ancient African sound as my heart began to dance. My soul was set free as I stood face to face with my reality, the African drum in me. The drum would bring forth my remembrance that I was not a Negro, but an African woman, a sister queen. Glory to the Creator. I was proud of this realization. Oh yes, I was proud. Proud of all the things about me that this society had told me were all negative. I discovered within the revolution that I did love my dark skin and my round nose. I was proud of my big hips and my broad feet and full lips. Yet, nothing topped the love and peace I experienced in claiming my natural African kinks, my crowning glory, my powerful magnetic organic hair. I claimed then that I would never again let them take away me from my African hair. I would hold on tight and would not be swayed no matter what anyone said or did. No, I couldn't be tricked, for I was now convinced of my natural African beauty. Since that time, my hair has gone through full range of hairstyles, and I've loved each one, all the varieties of choice, from cornrows to afro to braids to head wraps. As much as I love and respect the Rastafarian way of living, I am not a divine Rasta. I am, however, a natural African woman living on Turtle Island, a priestess of ancient earth medicine, a sacred woman with Kemetic Nubian ancestry. At this time, my crown is filled with beautiful Nubian locks, growing from my head so roundly that they make a statement of who I am, a radiant African woman. No one outside of me can determine my beauty. They don't have the authority. In the 21st century, we must be totally in tune and fine-tuned as well. In these times of trouble and transition in spiritual power, my antennas, every hair on my head, are wired to pick up direction and instructions from the Creator, the One Most High. I keep tuned in through these antennas. This level of communication with the Creator can only happen when you're a sacred woman. African women everywhere make a revolutionary statement of freedom and power. Put down that straightening comb and that is brutalizing your spirits, your crowns. Put down the lie that represents the image of European beauty, the larger culture that has told us to seek. Their goal is to put you to sleep. We've been fooled, blinded in our view of our beauty. Can't you see? You can come back instead, natural queens. The moment you take back your natural self, a mental and spiritual healing and a deep love of self comes over you. Be brave, do it now. It's all right, and wash away the foreign toxins and negative vibes. Set your hair free. So I wanted to talk about that section, especially after what I was talking about earlier. I do think it's important to love your natural self. I do think it's important to be able to embrace your natural self, to be able to feel like you can be seen as your natural self, to really 100% embrace who you are. I do also think we need to avoid highly toxic materials, things that really can hurt you in the long run. I do think that a lot of the time some of our beauty techniques in the Black community, especially due to necessity back in the day, have not been the safest, have not been in our best interest, and have been to pull us down, to make us look like something else, to tear down what our natural beauty was, and also did not care if they ruined our health while they did it. So what I'm going to say with that is that there are healthy ways to express yourself, and that this was just Queen describing her coming in to her power, to her sacred beauty, what made her feel powerful. Your story is going to be completely different. Your story is not going to be you're suddenly in Africa wearing this outfit and then you're like, what? Like, no, this is me. This is us, and you're like, can't you feel a brand new day, and you're dancing like Diana Ross? Like, it's not going to happen like that for you. You know what I mean? It's going to be a different moment. It may be a quieter moment. It may be a moment in the home. It may be a moment outside and you tried something on and it changed the way you look at yourself. Or it could just be you see one item and you're like, you know what, actually, that speaks to me 1,000 times more than this other type of dressing speaks to me. And it can be hard, to find your own style when constantly, like on Instagram and everything, it's just like everybody's wearing the same thing, every store is selling the same thing, everything, and the style changes every 6 months. It's like the seasons are shorter now, and there's half seasons, and they're just throwing things out there just because they want you to buy things. So that's why you've got to hone in on who do you want to buy from, where do you want to shop from, what's the style that you have, and how can you find more shops that cater to that. So for you, one day you may find yourself in a pair of, I don't know, loose pants and a blazer, and you realize that you have this form of power and you stand in the realness of who you are unapologetically. And that's all she's describing here is that moment. And she's also describing the need to love who you are naturally, to love your body how it is naturally without changing it and all of these other things, loving it genuinely, as well as loving it when you can dress it up and doing all those other things, and then presenting yourself the way you want to be presented. There is a form of balance. And also health, you know what I mean? Let's be healthy. Okay, so let's get there. She also talks a little bit about whether men will find us attractive or not. Fuck them. All right, so I mean, you can read that if you want to, but fuck them. You know, we just got over saying nothing would move us from our position of ourselves. So, like a black man who doesn't like black hair, is that really the kind of man you want to take home and live with daily? Like, if he likes it, he'll like it. You know what I mean? And, you know, it do what it do. Special notes on hair exposure. Muslim, Rasta, and other sacred women keep their crowns covered regularly for spiritual or other purposes. But please take heed. It is imperative that you expose your head to the air and to the sun's rays so that the natural elements can reach your hair follicles and your scalp can become nourished by the elements. Otherwise, your hair can dry out, become brittle, weak, and damaged over a period of time. This can also result in forgetfulness, depression, and headaches. You need the sun's rays to breathe on your scalp, your crown, because your hair is a living organism. It needs the sun, air, and water to stay alive. The sun's rays feed your brain cells and open up your spiritual gateways. They also help you think clearly and make more positive decisions about your life. So as you take sun air baths, meditate on the Creator. At least 1 hour a day, early in the morning or late in the afternoon, expose your crown to the beloved sun, our source of regeneration. While in your home, remove your headdress or wear a porous cotton headpiece. If you must wear a head covering at night, place a wrap over the head lightly. Don't ever wear a very tight headdress to sleep. The same advice applies to constant hat, wig, or scarf wearing. Do allow your hair to breathe occasionally. Let it inhale and exhale. Hair is a living and breathing entity. Your crown, your glory. All right, now we're going to, I think we only have a little bit more for today. Yeah, okay. So, Black Rose, an African queen I know, was one day busy massaging oils into my scalp as she locked my hair. She was also showing me her book of natural hairstyles from the 70s. She showed me a 12-month calendar that highlighted various African beauty queens, a calendar which she had designed the natural hair and African garments of each sister, and I was amazed. I said, so it was you and other queens like you and Empress Okwekwe who helped me and other sisters to embrace and love our image of ourselves. Our image as African women in America was because of beautiful queens such as yourself. I dropped to my knees as one does before their elder in African tradition, thanking her for holding on throughout many years, for she has empowered African women, men, and children to celebrate our beauty in all of its brilliant manifestation. The title Black Rose, Goddess of African Culture, was bestowed on her by the Evening Times, the largest newspaper in Nigeria, West Africa. It is a title she will cherish forever. For in our African tradition, when you are given a title, you do not put that in the closet. You live up to this honor bestowed on you, and you wear it with pride and dignity. Black Rose wrote, "This is the interlude to the awakening of the beauty. You are the unbelievable truth, the rebirth of our ancient African beauty, radiantly flaunted with pride. Enchanting African queens and beauteous women of our race are envied by all." Again, history repeats itself in the cycles of time. It compels us to regard ourselves as ascendants of African women, not descendants, but ascendants, for we are ascending into our cultural magnificence. We are determined to adhere with unwavering devotion to ourselves and to our race. Our locks are not limited to one type, so be creative with your natural hair. So natural hair care, she says, wash with herbal soap, clay soap, or black soap. Lightly dry hair and then apply the rejuvenating clay to your hair and scalp. Wrap in a clean white towel for 3 to 4 hours or until the clay is dry, and then wash out with warm water. After you wash out the clay, follow with the homemade herbal rinse, which is 1 teaspoon each: rosemary, thyme, horsetail, and sage seeped overnight in 1 quart of boiled water. You leave that mixture on your hair for 30 minutes and then rinse that out with warm water. Then use fresh aloe vera gel, preferably from the plant, but also, if you've purchased it. We have the oil formula: combine equal parts almond and olive oil, then add a few drops of vitamin E. And after you wash, rinse, massage, and dress your hair with the oil. For a nice scent, add a few drops of essential rose or lavender to that hair oil. After oiling your scalp, sit outside in the early morning or late afternoon for 30 minutes at least to allow the sun's rays to charge your crown. As you sun yourself, speak positive affirmations about your hair and meditate quietly. This activity gives you vision and inner wisdom. For protective measurements for hair, you can take a vitamin B complex 50 milligrams 2 or 3 times a day. What to drink and eat for a full head of healthy hair. Try this chlorophyll daily herbal tonic for the hair. Tea of horsetail, oat straw, alfalfa, and dandelion, equal parts. Sip as tea internally or use externally on your hair as a rinse. To make a green juice for hair tonic, juice 2 stalks of celery, half a cup of greens such as broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, etc., and add half to 1 full cucumber. Air bath is this next part. This is an elemental healing ritual. In a private place, remove your clothes and allow the air to dance all over you. Before we start that, I wanted to talk about undressing with purpose. This is something I talk about in my womb healing workbooks all the time. You can find those on Amazon. And in it, I talk about undressing with purpose, looking yourself dead in the eye in the mirror, undressing slowly, or not in the mirror even. It's fine to do with no mirror. Just stand there and purposefully take off your clothes. Don't just whip everything off and then just, I'm in the air, it's whipping around me. Slowly undress, peel off each bit of clothing with purpose, and then lay back and allow the air to come around you. So if you can be outside, that's preferable. If you cannot, open up, a door or a window or something that can let the air really whip around you in a room. So allow your pores to finally breathe. If you have your mirror, allow yourself to take a look at yourself and do not look or turn away. Smile and admire yourself always. Big, small, fat, light, dark, thick, thin. Look at how the Creator has made you uniquely beautiful, right? So you should be doing this when you undress, looking at yourself. Look yourself in the eye, look at your body. See yourself as a muse. See yourself with love. See yourself through the eyes of a stranger. See yourself through the eyes of a creator, of an ancestor, of, as an ancestor, you know what I mean? You are the ancestors, you are your descendants. It's all cumulative in the body that you have right now. Everybody who loved and hated and got together and broke up and all that came together all to this pinpoint that is you. And then it's going to continue on in the ways that you interact with other people and affect them and have them make life choices, and their choices revolve around you. All the same, it's all affected, it's all connected. And in that way, you can really love and be at peace with what you are, with what's in front of you right then, and what had to happen to get you here in this moment, staring at yourself and allowing the air to touch your different crevices. Love what you see. Tell yourself, I got a right to allow the air to dance all over me. The air, just like the water, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't dislike one part of your body more than the other. It touches it all equally. Once a week or every day, if you can manage, take an air bath with yourself, and if you so choose, with your mate. An hour or two does it. Most of our lives, we constantly clothe our body, and then our skin ages quickly and develops disease from being too covered. An air bath will add bounce, luster, and glow to your skin. In other words, the more your body receives fresh air, and particularly the rays of the sun, the more you will have healthy skin. Throw off your clothes and don't be shy. Allow the air to be your divine lover as it dances all over you. And that this depends on, how comfortable you guys are, what your living situation is, obviously. And then some people don't feel comfortable being nude in front of their kids, and so that's a whole nother thing. But finding those moments, 30 minutes is like kind of the least, but do what you can. I mean, 15 if you can, like, you know what I mean? Do what you can, and don't say, oh, because I can't do 30, I should do nothing at all. Oh, because I can't do 2 hours, I should do nothing at all. Do your 10 minutes. And allow yourself to indulge in that 10 minutes and see how that takes you. We're almost done. Ancient beautification of the eyes. Ancient African women had the most distinctively beautifully dressed eyes known to humankind. This was because of black coal powder that they painted around their eyes, not merely for cosmetic purposes, but also for spiritual and healing purposes. Asked the great Isis, the great mother of humankind, was the first woman to wear Egyptian eyes. The glyph for the eyes means the creator, the doer, the maker. She set the example for all other kinds of Egyptian women to follow. Ost, with her kind husband Osiris, civilized Egypt, teaching agricultural medicine and divine principles to those in the Nile Valley. The healing purposes of coal was to protect the eye from the intense rays of Ra, the sun, which you will still find all through West Africa and North Africa today. You can still buy that traditional type of coal. I think you can buy it online too. And it's like a stick dipped in, and it's like a very finely ground powder. And you stick the stick in, and they pull it across. They kind of like push into their eyes, very obviously much thinner than my finger, but they push it in and kind of just smear it across, and then it gives them a little bit on the top and the bottom. Usually women wear it, but men will wear it too if they need to protect from the sun, or if they have whatever, eye problem with the sun that needs to be rectified by wearing it. But it was also to prevent the clustering of flies around the eyes, and thus it protects it from disease and infection that is endemic in the Middle East. The spiritual symbolism of the black circle around the eye represents Nut, the heaven, Heteru, divine love and beauty, and Ra, the power, energy, and light of the sun. So for your natural hair care, the eyes are indeed the windows to the soul. They must receive great care to prevent them from becoming weak. Eye exercise. I love this. It reminds me of, and I feel like we can blame Tyra Banks for a lot of what goes on the internet today. Can we just say that? She let people do too damn much. She let us do too damn much. Anyways, she definitely, she did the smize thing, and that reminds me of this so much. She's talking about rotate the eyes to the right in full circle 4 to 12 times. Like, it's when you do this stuff, it's gonna kind of feel like a lot. So just write this down in your wound journal and practice at will, but also stop if it gets to be too much. Rotate to the left in a full circle 4 to 12 times, to the right in a full circle 4 to 12 times, raise and lower the eyes 4 to 12 times, relax and then breathe deep. Now move on the diagonal, both ways, rapidly, do it slow and then quickly. Then close your eyes, cover with the cool, fresh cucumber slices, which there's reasons why cucumber is used, and it is effective. Meditate for 5 minutes, see peace and beauty with your inner eye as you care for your outer eyes. Then do some clay packs, making you use gauze wrapped clay on your eyes. Put the gauze on the clay so that you still get the benefits, but it's not going to stick to the delicate skin and pull at it. And then shower very gently with warm water. The skin around the eyes is so delicate. The clay prayer is: may all my clay works be blessed on this divine day. May this clay on this day that the Most High has made restore my body temple. May this clay on this day rejuvenate, charge, beautify, and purify me as it has done since antiquity. May this clay on this day be shared with all others who seek the peace that is rendered from this clay. I love that. And you can literally take the may this clay on this day and say whatever you would like after that, and just keep repeating it as you apply to someone else, as you apply to yourself, healing. And it doesn't have to just be clay. May this water on this day, may this oil on this day, may this, food on this day. Your prayers can start to reflect other prayers that you're learning. That's part of sacred words too, is we're learning to pray, talk to our ancestors, talk out loud in these prayers that are not to Jesus or whatever. So she talks about warm water compress with cotton washcloth or white flannel. Try a wheatgrass eye rinse with half an ounce of fresh wheatgrass diluted with 2 ounces of water. Eye bright tea strengthens the eyes. Drink 1 to 2 cups. And then she also says, do eye care work with your eyes until the whites are just that, white, until there are no circles and crow's feet under your eyes. Final thing for today, she does talk about eye dancing, putting a veil over your face and practicing dancing with the music. I think we did a challenge for that last year. I'm not going to do it this year, but I do highly encourage you to practice those feminine things in the mirror. Practice your smile in the mirror. Practice everything in the mirror. Same like how Marilyn Monroe knew exactly how everything looked like because she would spend hours in the mirror. They would talk about how vain she was, and then lo and behold, she was working on her beauty. She was making sure that she understood how her body worked, how it moved, how everything worked, and it worked for her. Everybody wanted to talk about her, and she was not considered the beauty of her time. And they said it back then, you know what I mean? So let's get those veils, get a veil, use your fan, whatever you want to use, and practice in the mirror with just your eyes, practice with just your lips, just something, and really focus on your aspects of feminine beauty, or however you find your strength. But make sure you focus on your aspects of whatever that energy is that gives you sacred beauty. So for our chop break today, I thought that we would talk about 2 forms of eating that I've learned recently. So why didn't I turn on any lights in here? I look foolish. Oh, this is as good as we're gonna get. Okay, so recently, I don't if you follow me on my personal Instagram, which is the Sacred Bruja, I talked about intermittent fasting recently and how I took that on mostly out of not laziness. It's more of being overwhelmed. Being a housewife is or a house mom or whatever we call them, it's really difficult. It's it's just a constant barrage of hungry people, people messing shit up in your house that you just cleaned, visitors, people needing, just it's just a lot. And so for me, it was becoming really overwhelming to eat 3 times a day, to sit down and eat a breakfast and eat a lunch and eat a dinner. And then it was occurring to me that I was getting super tired after breakfast, and then that would fuck my whole day over. And so anyways, one of my husband's friends was talking about intermittent fasting, and how he eats in a 6-hour window every day. And I just kind of adopted that just because it sounded reasonable. And I don't fast every day. I usually don't fast on the weekends just because it's easier to, my husband's home, it's easier to just go with what everybody's doing. And I also don't fast on my period, usually because I need to be able to take an Advil or whatever, an ibuprofen, whatever we call them. I like to be able to have that on deck. I usually try and smoke, but there are times, especially with different things my womb's gone through in the last couple of years, that I'm I need to have my pills. And you can't be just shoving your pills down unless there's a little bit of food digested in there. So usually on my period, also just so I don't feel weak or anything on my period, I'm already bloated, whatever. It's just just let it all hang out. So I don't usually do this on my period or on the weekend. So it's about a 5-day a week thing usually, depending on the weekend. Sometimes I just automatically do it again because that's how the schedule goes. But that's not the thing I really wanted to talk to you about. My intermittent fasting, because when I first started, I wanted to do a 20-hour fast, 4-hour eating, because I was like, that sounds simple, it sounds so easy. But then I started hearing, I'm taking this dieting class, and the teacher talked to us about 2 things that I really wanted to share with you guys. One was mindful eating, and one was intuitive eating. And I think those 2 really go hand in hand with sacred food and transitioning our diet to be healthy, to be good for ourselves, and yeah, basically to take our eating to that sacred level where we are treating the way we eat as sacred, as a way to heal ourselves, as a way to put nutrition in, instead of just something that you do at a certain time every day because you're supposed to, because you need to get food in, and it kind of doesn't matter what it is. You know what I mean? So, intuitive eating. Or we'll start with mindful eating. Mindful eating is when you eat what you're eating without judgments. You are totally at peace with it. You're not necessarily eating slower, eating by yourself, though. Paying attention to each bite and enjoying it for what it is will do that for you. So in this case, you're not mad at yourself because you couldn't have a vegan meal. You're not mad at yourself because you're eating a piece of cake. You're not mad at yourself because you just know this is going to your thighs or your love handles, etc., etc., etc. You're not mad at yourself. You're accepting. And when you're accepting, you can accept that in this moment it feels good. You can accept that all good things come to an end, and that this cake will be there later. You can put it away and eat it later, or you can finish it however now and not judge yourself for having indulged in a little bit of food just now. Learning to have that peace with your relationship, peace with just eating, peace with your choices. So then that goes hand in hand with the intuitive eating, which asks us, why are we eating 3 times a day if indeed you're not hungry when that next meal time rolls around? When we're born, right, as a baby, we have this intuitive ability to know when we're hungry and when we're full. Your baby will cry for your milk, and then they will push you away when their little tummy is all full and they're all done. And there's a type of training that occurs as we get older, that we have to eat at certain times a day instead of just waiting until they're hungry, or asking if they're hungry, letting people not eat if they're not hungry. It's like, no, you need to eat everything off your plate. And we're raised that way too. It's like, you're a good kid if you clean your plate. You're not a good kid if you leave all of your food still on your plate because you just weren't hungry. So that's what intuitive eating is about. Is about getting back to that place where you are only eating when you're hungry, and when you are full, you stop. And that's very difficult, especially if you're used to just eating for fun, if you're used to finishing your plate, finishing whatever portion you were given, if you're used to just eating, whatever's in front of you without thinking about it. All those things, I've done all of those things. I have all of those habits. All of those things kind of stop when you start intuitive eating, because you start to get back into understanding your body. I do want to say, for both of those, if you're going to look them up and, get into them, if you do have an eating disorder, you should not be doing intuitive eating. You need to heal from the eating disorder, at least mostly. You're almost there before you can start trying to do stuff like just listen to your body signals, because when you have an eating disorder, your ability to note those signals is kind of warped by your perception in like different hormones. There's like a lot that kind of goes into it, but long story short, it's just not as healthy, and you're not really going to be as successful at it. But anyways, I think that combination of being at peace with what you eat, eating only when you're hungry, stopping when you're full, and making sure that you have that loving, peaceful relationship around food. I really wanted to share that with you guys. I know that we're transitioning, and I'm not super stickler about like vegan this, plant-based that, whatever. I'm stickler about us cutting down. I'm stickler about us, you being at only 2 times a week having meat or dairy. But other than that, you know what I mean? I think that making those healthy eating habits, slow transition, also in that dieting class, it was talking about how diets themselves cause obesity, those yo-yo things when you lose it all real fast. It's pretty much like guaranteed you're going to gain it all real fast too. So really the ultimate goal, if you're trying to be healthy, is that slow transition, no matter what it is, slowly transition into eating the right foods, slowly transition into good eating habits, slowly transition and allow yourself to slowly, get to a healthy point. And you shouldn't be looking at weight. You should be looking at blood pressure, what your arteries are up to, what your, iron levels are up to, and all those little different things. Those are the real things that you should be looking for, because what you look like isn't indicative, right? We all know somebody who has like an eating disorder, but people are always telling them that they look good. Or we know somebody who has an illness, so they've lost weight, and people are like, oh, you look amazing. And it's like, she's literally sick. She's literally sick. But you guys, you equate, the skinniness with the health. And so that's why, I'm not getting into that. We don't do all that. What we do focus on is the actual health, before and after your blood chart or something, So anyways, I wanted to share that with you and really urge you to look up both intuitive eating and mindful eating. Look up those practices. Mindful eating is just a small microcosm of like mindful living, which is a whole nother thing that I do think is really awesome. And if we ever find a way to tag that in here, I'll definitely will. But for now, the mindful eating, I think, is a really good way to start becoming at peace and have a healthy relationship with your food. When I first heard it, I was like, that never occurred to me. Like, it never occurred to me to indulge without having any of that guilt, without even thinking about it like that. Just being like, yeah, I'm eating this. Because I'm just, my whole life, I think since I was like 10, since I was like a baby, like, I remember like dieting. Like, we went to Wendy's, like, and I was like, oh, I think my family eats at Wendy's too much. Let me get like a side salad instead of French fries, even though I really want French fries. Let me get a side salad instead of a baked potato. Like, it was just sad. And to think about all those times that I could have just enjoyed that damn baked potato. Could have just enjoyed the damn baked potato. But because I was just so caught up in the mindset, you know what I mean? I was so caught up in like body dysmorphia. Not only dysmorphic about my body, but other people's bodies. Like, it's sad. Anyway, let me take this hit, y'all. Let me take this hit. But yeah, I've been talking about modernizing the sacred woman, and I think that having those healthy eating practices is far more important. Having that healthy relationship with food and the practice of eating is so much more important than what you're eating, because you need to be at peace with yourself, you know what I mean? You need to be at peace with your food, with your circumstances. Sometimes you can't get healthy food. Sometimes you just don't want healthy food. Sometimes you just don't want to cook. And it's like, it's one thing if that's like your chronic habit and you do need to break that. But it's another thing if you're like flagellating yourself because you ate a bit of meat at like on vacation at a friend's house, during a holiday. You know what I mean? Mad at yourself that you indulged in a piece of pumpkin pie and it had a little creamer in it. Like, let's live, let's live. So anyways, I hope you all are doing really well with your eating habits and coming to grips with that and making sure that it's healthy. And this was just your friendly reminder to go that next level of really making sure that you're connected with your food at a really healthy level. I do think that it's easier to connect with your food at a really, loving and happy level when it's healthy foods, or when it's, when it's an occasional treat. I think it is easier that way. But those things are not a requirement. I definitely think you should look up both mindful and intuitive eating practices. Kojo Baden. Kojo Baden. It was the original all-seeing eye symbol representing the cosmos and the spiritual realm. This reminds you of using your eyes for more to see and to take in information. Your third eye might need clarity or a boost, that this can help. This symbol helps with that. Your intuition is demanding you to connect with a way that is fearless and trusting. This symbol represents the cosmos, the omnipresence, the the second sight, the sight beyond the sight you have here. So trust yourself, awaken your third eye, and deepen your intuition. This symbol would be good for any of your root work. That would be for anything of that nature. Today we will not be doing the Mott studies because I don't know which one we're on. I can't find my planner right now. I'm kind of a mess. But we'll pick up on that next week. And all right, that's it for this Sister Circle. I hope you join us again next week as we can continue through the gateway of sacred beauty. Please subscribe to YouTube, share to friends. We're trying to get to 1K so we can go live again. Donate to Patreon $1 if you liked it. And other than that, I'll see you next week. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads.